What's up, everybody? Welcome to the episode 2 of season 2 of the Gaming Roundtable. And you see me here playing a little bit of Destiny, a game that I've been playing pretty much since it came out. So a long time I've been playing. The moon is still probably one of my favorite places to actually come and just kind of fart around with and shoot a little bit of mindless things going on here. And I'm just using some weapons here to try to get some precision headshots because, well, you know, I'm using this, using the gunsmith and trying to rank him up or whatever. But this episode is entitled The Bait and Switch, which is funny because I am playing Destiny, and this is kind of part of that reason why, outside of the fact that the bait and switch is the bait and switch. I hope the volume of the game is not too loud and you can hear a little bit of the effects, but also still hear my voice as it was. The bait and switch. Now, you probably want to ask yourself, what exactly is the bait and switch? Xoni, how you doing? Glad for you to join in on this broadcast. Sitting here watching me play some Destiny. The bait and switch, that's the big old question. So let me tell you a little bit about why I came up with this subject. Now, I'm not much akin to conspiracy theories when it comes to gaming. There is a few out there. I usually don't pay too much attention there. Hello. There's another friend of mine just joining, Miss Pamela. How you doing? Shout out to you. Here's the thing about the bait and switch. Now, I don't know if anyone has had the opportunity to play the new Watch Dogs 2, or Titanfall 2 for that matter. And of course, perhaps when Destiny 2 comes out, we will do what we've got to do. Here's the thing about the bait and switch, and this is my theory, and I hope that you think that you might be interested in what I have to say. So let's hit it up here. So back in the day, before Watch Dogs was relaunched, now again, I seem to pick on Ubisoft, but you know, it's not that I dislike their games, because I've bought many of their games over the years, from Assassin's Creed Black Flag to even the new Rainbow Six Siege, which I really like. You see, the bait and switch. If you play Watch Dogs 2, Watch Dogs 2 has this great parkour system, a much better hacking system than the first game ever had. It feels like a more cohesive world than the first one. As a matter of fact, if you go back and read or even watch some of the old dev diaries, almost everything that was promised by Ubisoft and talked about at length before the first game was launched did not make it into that game. But they hyped it, and they hyped it, and they hyped it. They pushed it back, and it got more hyped, and GameStop was hyping it. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, you got everybody and their grandma, oh, you gotta get Watch Dogs. Oh, pre-ordered. Oh my God, get Watch Dogs. Get it. And it comes out, and not that it's a terrible game, because I actually do have it as a digital title. I got it really cheap. I think I got it for $10 on a PS Plus sale or something along that lines. And what's interesting to me is that now all the stuff that was featured and or promised in Watch Dogs 1 is now in Watch Dogs 2. Here's the bait and switch. The bait and switch is this. So Ubisoft shows us all these great graphics at E3 and all this stuff, and they show us a lot of this different gameplay and footage, and you're thinking the game is going to be better than it is. The hype gets built up to the point where everyone and their grandma starts buying it, so they make all this money straight away. Now, Ubisoft being also the maker and publisher of the game, you wouldn't think that they would have a deadline. Believe it or not, Ubisoft's development team and the publishing side are two different. They're the same company, but they're a little bit two different entities. And what happened was they had a deadline to meet. So they meet this deadline, they make all this money, but then a few weeks later, a couple months, I think, it really started to taper off. People thought, this is not really the game that I really thought we were going to get. And to me, it's just kind of like, okay, well then the game starts not selling and people are not buying it. And the next thing you know, Watch Dogs 2 just comes out of left field. It wasn't like they announced it a year ago. It just really was surprising to me that all of a sudden, hey, Watch Dogs 2, okay. I thought the first one kind of failed. Not in terms of financially, but from a critical and gamer standpoint, yeah, it kind of failed. And the thing about it is, which is it's kind of like, well, was this intentional? Like, did they hype it to the point to get the money that they needed, which will allow them to make a sequel? Not only allow them to make a sequel, but give them more time to flesh out the game? Because all the stuff that is in Watch Dogs 2 that you can do was supposed to be in the first game, but it's not. They didn't. Now they had, the last, 2.5 years, almost 3, to develop it. They had the money made from Watch Dogs 1. They announced it kind of like out of left field. So that's the real question. Was this done intentionally? Let's hype the game, get people on board with it, do bare minimum work, get the money, then actually give them the game that we promised later. Because, Destiny, in a way, Bungie kind of did the same thing. Did you know a month after the game came out, a month after that game came out, that the developers of Bungie, there's a couple lead designers, said, we knew, and this is a quote, the light leveling based system on year 1 was broken. We knew a lot of the guns were broken. We knew there wasn't really much story. We knew we kind of bare bones it. We knew they went on and on about all this stuff that they knew about. And then they spent another year fixing it, especially when the Taken King finally came out. And that's what the point I'm making. It's like, if you knew this going forward, and you beta tested it, and you alpha tested it, and your QA tested it, then why did you all, but you still brought it out anyway? And we had to pay $60 for the game, another, what was it, 30 or something, dollars, it doesn't make, for the expansions, and then we had to pay another bunch of money for the Taken King to get the actual game that you all originally promised. I think they baited and switched us, ladies and gentlemen. I really feel like that's what happened. They spent their time baiting and switching us, and I just really felt like that was just, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you just, bold-faced do that and not give us the game that we were promised? Because it doesn't make any sense that 30 days after the game launches that you admit to this in a magazine that you knew it was broke. And I think there's something wrong there, people. Now let's look at Titanfall. Titanfall, for example, was this game that was credibly hyped too. And if you think about Titanfall was made by Respawn Entertainment. Now Respawn is composed of the two guys that legitimately created the Call of Duty multiplayer, the guys that did it. They're the ones that started the modern stuff, and that's what happened. And it's weird to me that these guys who created perks and customization and did all that, they know what works and doesn't work, and yet in Titanfall 1, they were very conservative. You couldn't customize your Titan. There wasn't that many customization options for your soldier or pilot. There just wasn't a whole lot, going on there in the game. And people were 2 weeks later, they had maxed out their characters, did all this stuff, right? Well, what's crazy is we get Titanfall 2, and again, if you go back and look at some of the dev diaries, if you go back and look at some of the things that they said was going to be in Titanfall 1, they found their way to Titanfall 2, and now they've got all of our money, right? They baited us in with their videos like Ubisoft did and Bungie did. They baited us in, switched our money out of our wallets, and then after they got that money, they knew it was bare bones. They gave us a few little DLCs and expansion here and there, nothing really to sneeze at per se, and then bring us the sequel, or in Destiny's case, the big update, the Taken King stuff, and now we get the game that was promised. The real question is, the theory really for me is, did they not? Did they do it on purpose? Did they sit around and say, hey, you know what? We know our game is bare bones. We know this. We know for a fact that we're not going to be giving them a whole lot of content. We know this. What if we just hype our games and get it really hyped up and get with GameStop and have their employees hype it up and get with all these people, make them speculate and get it so to the point where it's like going to be where people will buy this game, and that will give us the money. And so when we make our sequel or whatever we're doing, now we'll have the opportunity to make that sequel and get and give them the game that they actually wanted. I think that's kind of a crazy thing to me that they would do that. I don't want to say that it's intentional, but if you look at some of the evidence that I'm talking about, if you go back and see some of the things they're doing, even if it was not 100% intentional, there's something to be said about it, in my opinion, because I personally feel like that bait and switch tactic is horse shit. Like, that is wrong. It's lying in a way that's not like complete bold-faced lie like Sean Murray did, like I talked about the other day or yesterday. But it's really kind of crazy. It's just kind of one of those crazy things that the more I thought about it, the more it seemed plausible. They want our money. They're going to hype us. They're going to bait and switch us, get us to buy their game. And then now that they have our money, now they can spend the actual time and have more resources to give us the game that was promised, like Watch Dogs 2. Everything that you can play in Part 2 was actually supposed to be in Part 1. The stuff they talked about in Destiny, the dev diaries, like Sparrow Racing, and a variety of different other aspects of this game, made its way into the Taken King, but it wasn't there originally, even though there is a video where one of the devs is saying to another guy, I got this cool gear from trading the Sparrow Racing for doing these strikes. He talks about all this, but none of that was in year one. Like, you couldn't trade. You still can't trade, but the Sparrow Racing wasn't there, and none of that was there. And it's kind of a shame because you're like, well, wait a minute. If that was in the build before the alpha, then why did you remove it? That makes no sense. And then add it in later. I'm really disappointed in the fact that if these game companies are doing this bait and switch stuff, it's not a cool thing to do to us in the gaming community. Watch Dogs, Ubisoft did it with Watch Dogs. Titanfall did it, and again, Titanfall 2 is a superior game to Part 1. And Watch Dogs 2 is a superior game to Part 1. And to Taken King, like, who would want to go back and play Year 1 Destiny? Like, I wouldn't. Screw that. Hey, if you're just tuning in, this is episode 2 called The Bait and Switch on the Gaming Roundtable. Troll ZY, how you doing, buddy? Basically, hello, mind checking out my channel? I will check out your channel. That would be really cool. I'm always interested in seeing what other people can do. And see what they're doing, man. I will definitely check out your channel, bud. I'll subscribe to it too, and give you a shout out. Hey guys, if you're tuning in, check out Troll ZY's channel on the YouTube there. Help this guy out. I'm sure he's working hard to bring you some interesting things. Looks like I lost Xoni. Sorry they lost you there. I hope I wasn't boring you. But anyway, this is what the episode's about, this whole bait and switch thing. It's the whole idea of a game company hyping their games, getting our money, and then giving us the game that they actually promised in a sequel or expansion later. Again, that might sound very conspiracy theory. I've actually talked to a couple of people about this, and people actually tell me, that seems plausible. Like, they get our money so they can get those resources, because when a game doesn't do really well, the publisher will actually pretty much quit providing them with money. Quit providing money. They do it a lot. Turtle Rock, for example, Studios lost the support of their publisher. They no longer have money coming in for Evolve, and they canned Evolve. Like, they're done doing Evolve. It's kind of one of those, things where you're like, wow, they no longer have that support. But if you can hype a game big enough, right? If you hype it big enough, maybe they'll get, maybe you'll get your money's worth, and then you can spend the next year or so getting the sequel that you need. I think it's a shame, because if they are doing that, and there is some validity to that, it's just a disservice to us gamers. No one wants to buy a $60 title to be let down by it, and then we see that the second game or expansion is going to give us what we looks like what we were originally going to get. And that to me, that just grinds my shit. You know, it boils the hell out of my piss. It's just ridiculous that they would do that. And yes, I bought Destiny, but I absolutely had so many problems. I still played year one all the way through until it improved. But the only reason I did that is because the gameplay was so good. If Destiny's gameplay, like its gunplay gameplay, was not that great, it was mediocre, yeah, I would never have ever, I would have stopped a long time ago. I would have said, you know what, fuck that game, I'm not playing it. Because see, that's what America's about, my friends. It's about not lying to the communities. And this is just what I'm talking about. It's just one of those things, the bait and switch. Yes, like I said, it's very conspiracy theory, but I don't know. I think there's some validity to it, to be honest with you. And yeah, it's people sitting around wearing their dark Palpatine robes going like, good, take the money, unleash their hate. I don't think so. I don't think anyone's intentionally doing it. But lately, I've been seeing it, and it's only from these big kind of name companies. So it just makes you wonder. It just makes you say, are we getting pretty much not what we were promised? And that's where I'm kind of at with it. And it just makes you wonder. You know, it makes me wonder if that is what happens, or that is what's happening, in some kind of a degree. I don't know. If you like this video, please comment. You know, I'd love to hear some of your comments. I'd love to hear, what you feel. If you think that these game companies are baiting and switching us and making us they're giving us what they promised later, and they're doing it on an intentional level where they're doing it, on purpose. And if they are, you know what? That's a bunch of horse shit. And if they're not, well, you know what? It seems kind of fishy to me. Well, anyway, this has been episode 2 of season 2 of the Gaming Roundtable. As I said before, the bait and switch. You decide. Comment if you want. Let me hear some comments. Let me hear what you all, the gaming community out there, have to think. And like I said, tune in tomorrow night. You will see another wonderful episode of the Gaming Roundtable. And hopefully I'll have another subject for you that is near and dear to my heart when it comes to these the gaming and games out there that I play. And again, I want you to subscribe, tell your friends about me, hit that like button like you mean it. And as always, gamers, hey, good gaming.